Okay, hello everyone. I hope you're all doing good. Yeah, again, this is our curves. So we are here to navigate through the curves of life. So today I want us to talk about the story of the prodigal son, not the regular type, someone that failed and came back to his father and all that. So many of us we think about the story. Whenever we hear the story of the prodigal son, we think of this failure, this failed son that later came to the father for forgiveness and all that. That's just where it stops. Okay, we just narrow it down to that. So I want us to look at six moments, six turning points, that shaped him into who he became, or shaped him into this prodigal son that he was. All right. So the story is not just all about failure. Okay, it started with demand. He wanted something, then he now wanted freedom. Distant himself from family and all that. So, but somewhere within the fall, mercy of God found him. Okay. And while going through this, you and I were going to find out that at some point in our lives, we have come across these turning points. Okay, so the first turning point is the demand. Yeah, that's the genesis of everything. Demand. Now, this prodigal son, he was okay, he was well fed, he was taken care of, everything he wanted was there. But then, just this desire, there's this extra, you just want extra. You are comfortable where you are, but you just want something extra. You want something, it's not a bad thing. I mean, think about it, it's growth, you want something new, alright? So, in this particular context, we are talking about not being contented with what you have. Okay, that's the loss, that's the genesis of the whole problem. You have something, you have a phone, and you are desiring something bigger. Do you understand? That's the genesis of everything. If you do it in a good way, it's quite understandable. You want to grow, but then you know this thing you are seeking is not good for you, but you just desire it. Right? You are not contented with what you have. Okay, you just want something bigger. So that's the turning point. It's okay, but in some cases, when you desire this thing too much, this could be a problem. Fine. So moving on, the second turning point is the departure. Now, in this story of the prodigal son, when the father gave him that wealth, okay, the half of his wealth, what he asked for. Now, he could have maybe taken this wealth and say, okay, let me stay back, in the same community, in the same society, establish myself somewhere, let me go and build my house somewhere around the corner and all that. Stay close to family. But he wanted what? Freedom. He just wanted freedom. That's why he had to live away. He has to go away, far from his father's house, where nobody will correct him. And that's our life today. Yes, nobody wants correction. Nobody wants to stay close to their parents. You don't want someone to, know what you're doing and all that. So that's another turning point. That freedom somehow is good. Yeah, I mean, it allows you to, think freely, act freely without being influenced by what people will say or think about what you're doing. All right, but then when you abuse this, freedom, definitely is going to fall back on you. All right. The next turning point is the waste. Yeah, he wasted. Of course, we know this part. Yeah, he wasted the resources. Started partying and all that. Now, I want us at this point. I want us to look at why he did that. Now, relating to you and I, what comes that is immaturity. Think what you could have done with that word. Think you yourself. Imagine you were giving half of what your father owns. Okay, your wealthy father. Let me put it that way. You can imagine the kind of business, the connections, what you're going to do with the money and all that. But this man lacked wisdom, he lacked maturity, and he was foolish. Alright, that's why he wasted all those resources. So moving on, the next turning point is the fall. Yeah, the fall after losing everything. After losing everything, yeah, he fell. He couldn't even feed, he couldn't take care of himself. But there's something I want us to pick from the fall of the prodigal son. This prodigal son, somehow, if you fall, you should get up. Alright? But he lacked the ability to get up on his own. Yes, I would have said, yeah, because he's still foolish. But think about it. He made friends while clubbing, while partying, and all that he was doing when he had the money, when he had the wealth. He could have met some persons, made some wealth and all that, that should carry him up, or friends that can help him, lift him up a little, lend him help here and there. But no, nobody was there to lift him up. So he fell flat. So pray that prayer that God should never allow you to fall flat, okay? You understand? Now, even if you fall, you'll be able to, find somewhere to stand and all that to help yourself up. But he fell flat, so that's very terrible. That's very terrible. The next turning point is the realization, which is my main point for this, for making this video. The realization. We keep seeing the prodigal son as the bad guy, the failed, child and all that. Think about that ability to realize, to come back to your senses and say, this is me, I'm this Dangote son. I am $10 son. What am I doing in this place? Alright? So the ability for you to remember, somehow, I mean, this guy suffered. Imagine someone that was now trying to drag food with pigs. he suffered. Maybe that suffering would have, or that poverty, that wretchedness would have made him forget who he was. Alright, but he still was able to do what? To remember. So I'm asking you now, pray for yourself. Pray for yourself that you always remember who you are. Remember where you come from. Remember your identity. Remember your powers. Alright, always pray for the power to remember who you are. It really helps. It saves you. Definitely you are going to miss your steps at some point, you get, but always pray for that grace to remember that when you go astray, you remember. Then finally, and also very important, the return. That's the last turning point, the return. Okay, so the prodigal son did not just realize his mistakes, he did not just remember who he was, but he also was able to muster enough courage to turn back, to say, let me go back to my father. Some people would maybe out of shame, out of fear, out of the disgrace that, what will I even go back to do? And he said, okay, or that let me just keep struggling on my own. That courage, that decision to fall back and say, Father, I am sorry. Even if it's to be a slave, I want to come back to your house. Even if I say slave, don't even take me as a slave. That was his demand. Don't take me as a slave, as a son. Just even if it's to be one of your slaves. But then he made that decision to do what? To come back. That's just all that matters. Okay? That's just all that matters. So today I really want you to, take these lessons. Just think about these 6 turning points, of the prodigal son, the life of the prodigal son, and learn 1 or 2 things from them. So the prodigal son story doesn't end with fall, like we have seen. It doesn't end with fall, but it ends with a decision. Okay, a decision to remember who he was and to take the courage to return. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed the channel. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the likes. I really appreciate. See you in the next video. Till then, peace and love.